welcome to video number 3 where we are going to be talking about angles and the layout of your photos. So this isn't going to be about self-portraits or pictures of yourself outside or anything of that sort. This is going to be if you're taking pictures of your food, of objects like supplements, books, etc., or of something like clothes laid out on the floor properly. I'm really gonna be talking a lot about food. Anything that's mentioned in this video can totally be put towards any type of like object-based photo. So you have your new phone with a quality camera, you're in front of the window at the perfect time of the day without the sun directly hitting your object, but now you actually wanna make the picture look good. You can have all of that right, and you can still have your camera in between the object and the light, and the picture can still look bad. If the layout is ugly, if the background isn't good, if the depth is off, if the angle's super awkward, the picture can still look really bad even if everything around it is right. I mean, you just put so much time. You timed to make your muffins at 12:30 in the afternoon so that you could take the picture at 1:34 in the afternoon after they cooled down, and then you get in front of the window and then you mess it up, you know? Like, you can totally do that, and you don't want to do that. If you go through all the effort of making a really good dessert or making a really good meal, you want to maximize the picture itself and really get the most out of the angle and the layout and the props that you use, etc. So we're gonna be talking how to get the right angle, how to get the perfect balance of like brightness and contrast with the angle, and we're also gonna be talking about like layouts, props, etc. So of course, guys, utilize everything in video 1 and 2 with the lighting and, you know, using the light to hit the object and timing it at the right time of the day and using a quality camera. But this is the extra stuff to now make your picture go from something like this to something like this, all just by changing the angle a little bit, changing the background, adding some props, and the proper editing. Obviously, those little things can make a really big difference. I'll show you guys another example right here of just adding some props and changing the angle just a little bit. So my first tip is to not show more than the object unless it's intended. So maybe you want a background. Maybe I want something like this bookshelfy thing in the background of one of my photos. That's great, but if it's not intentional and instead of that, I have a picture of my green smoothie bowl with my brown couch in the back, that's probably gonna look kind of bad and not gonna be very eye-catching. It's okay to have stuff in the background, but make it intentional if you're doing that, and make sure it matches, or make sure it's blurred out. Some phones now, some cameras will just automatically, based on the settings, blur out the background, so that could help, but I'm not talking about a blurred background. I'm just talking about your typical background in a picture. If it's not intentional to have stuff in the background, put the whiteboard behind it. You have, or put the blackboard. Either have a set background or no background, because that can be distracting, it can be ugly, it can just like not fit at all. Unless it's meant to be there, it typically isn't gonna work unless you get lucky. Plan out a background if you want it. For example, maybe I'm taking a picture of pumpkin muffins. Looking outside right now, the one wall on my porch is orange, so I could go take a picture of my pumpkin muffins in front of an orange wall, and that would go together. But if I'm taking a picture of my green smoothie bowl, I probably don't wanna take a picture in front of my orange wall unless I want like a green-orange vibe, which would be kind of cool actually. But what I'm getting at is just plan it out properly. It can totally throw it off or totally make it pop, and it's gonna make a really big difference. So definitely put some thought into that when you're taking the actual photo. And if you really don't know how to get around having a weird background, just put the board behind the picture, and it can just be a plain background, which can honestly look really good, especially depending on your theme. Like if you go for a black theme and you have a black background, then that's great. It's simple, but it's great, and that makes it pop. Just to also show you guys an example, this is the difference between an ugly, unintended background and a proper background. So you guys can see that with the intention to have a nice background, this worked really well. But without any intention or any thought, this background just looked horrible. So definitely put some thought into the background. And moving on to the actual angle. So like I said, you can be in the perfect position. You can be in between your object and the natural light. You can be, you know, sitting by your window right when the sun peeked over your balcony at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Everything is perfect, but now you still took a horrible picture because your angle is off. So here I'm showing you guys 2 pictures of the exact same photo at the exact same time of the day, but with 2 different angles. I'll just kind of show you guys a couple different pictures right now of some not so good angles over here and some good angles over over here. Everything is gonna be based off of your eye and what is attractive to you. There's technically no right or wrong here, but it's definitely gonna make a difference when it catches other people's eyes, because something like this is gonna be nowhere near as eye-catching as something like this. So paying attention to the actual angle is definitely super important, and like I said, this is based off of your preference, but what I personally recommend is to either take one directly over top, not directly over top with a slight tilt. You want to just be directly over top. So for example, let's say this is the ground with my object. I want something to be straight over top. And that will just really help keep the photo balanced well and just look professional. Like, it won't look awkward and like tilted. It just won't look as good if it's not directly over. Another angle that I really like, again, this is all based on your eye, do your own thing, but another angle that I think is very attractive and always gets really good feedback on my photos are photos like these, where they're directly in line with the photo with a nice simple background, nothing super distracting, but it really captures what the item, what the food item looks like. It really gets the details, it really shows the texture, it really shows the consistency of whatever it is, and it just seems to always do really well. I can do other photos at a similar angle. So here's two photos at a very similar angle, but it's kind of just awkward. It's not directly on, it's showing the bowl or the plate a little too much, it's a little too over the top, and it's just awkward. And you can see the difference between a picture like this that I just showed you, which is super awkward, and a picture like this. This is something you're gonna have to mess around with a little bit and just kind of figure out the angles that you like based on the dishware that you're using. You know, if you have a really short bowl versus a tall bowl, that's gonna make a difference in the angle that you're gonna take it. If your food is in the bowl and it's not hovering over the top of the bowl, you're not really gonna be able to take it directly on. You're gonna have to take it over the top. I talk about that more in my food photography course. If you're interested in that, if you're doing food photography, I highly recommend the food photography course. It's amazing. It really teaches you all the little details about how to get like the perfect popping food photos. And I also teach you hacks of avocado tricks, smoothie bowls, and so many other little like coffee hacks, how to make your coffee look amazing. So if you're into food photography, that'd be cool. But yeah, the angle is going to make a really big difference. If it's something super flat like pancakes, obviously, unless it's a huge stack of pancakes, you're not gonna wanna be taking a straight on angle, because that would just look kind of weird and flat. You would need a really simple background and it just wouldn't have much depth. So something that's more flat on a plate, you're gonna wanna take more over top. And then if you have something that has a little more height to it on a plate, that's when you can get down and get right in line with it and take a picture of it. And this is a little trick. Instead of taking the picture like this, like straight on, flip it upside down, so that way the camera is more at the bottom and you can get a better photo. So here's an example of that, literally the exact same photo, just with one straight up and down and the other one flipped upside down. I do want to make something really, really clear here, because I know that I've mentioned throughout this video and throughout the other two videos that you always want to be in between the light and the object when you're taking a photo, but that is only if you're taking a photo straight on. For example, the window is over here, and if I'm taking a picture of this bottle straight on, then I definitely want to be in between the window, aka the light, and the object. However, if you are taking a picture of something over top of it, like if I was going to take a picture of this notebook straight down and the light is over here, I don't have to take the picture over top of it with the light behind me. I can take the picture with the light over there from right here. I can take the picture with the light over there from right here. It's really just going to come down to what you think looks best. The cool thing about taking a picture over top is that at every single different angle, so whether it's this way, this way, this way, or this way, you're gonna see the shadows a little bit differently. If I'm taking a picture of this notebook from right here and the light's over there, I'm gonna see more of a shadow over here, because this is like the dark side and this is the bright side. If I'm taking a picture over top of this from over here, light's over there, dark is over here, I'm gonna get a shadow on the bottom of my picture. If I'm taking it from over here, straight down, I'm gonna get a shadow on the left side of my picture, etc. If I'm taking it from over here, the shadow will be in the back of the picture. So you don't have to be in between the object and the light, but if you're taking a picture of something straight on, then that's when you're really gonna wanna be in between the object and the light. If you're taking something over top, you can kind of shift around and figure out the lighting that you personally want, because really any angle over top is gonna work as long as you have the natural light hitting the object. I just wanted to make that clear. I didn't want you guys to think that you couldn't do that, even though of course you could, because you can do anything you want with photography. It's totally your thing. But yeah, I just wanted to make that super clear, and now we are moving on. Moving on to depth. So depth can make your photo look super unique, and it can also throw it off. Depth is similar to a background, but not the exact same thing. Here I'm showing you guys a photo that attractively shows depth through the photo. As you can see, there's two lines that really target and really isolate the object in the photo, and here's another photo showing some depth that's just a little awkward and off. So yes, depth can add a lot of uniqueness, and it can make your photo really pop. The biggest thing to keep in mind with depth is that you want your object to be centered. So this is gonna be something more for like food photography, or even for you, if you're standing in between like two pillars, for example, it's just gonna isolate you and make you or your object pop. So use depth if it's in a symmetrical situation. Otherwise, unless it's just a unique situation and it looks good, I don't think that it makes your photo pop a lot, because then your photo can get lost in whatever it is that you're taking a photo of. So basically use depth if your object or if you can pop. Otherwise, just kind of keep the depth out and keep a basic background in mind. And then lastly within this is going to be talking about like layouts and props. So this is super important if you're doing pictures of like fashion and an outfit, and also for food photography. I personally don't use many props in my food photography just because it's not really my theme or my vibe, but it can definitely add so much to your photo. So for example, if I'm making something like pumpkin muffins, having something like a pumpkin in the picture would be really cool, or throwing some flour on the floor, or kind of making the pan look a little messy and putting it on top of a board like you see in some of these photos that I'm showing you. If you're taking a picture of a smoothie bowl, maybe put a little bowl of fruit next to it that's like kind of off the photo, or put a spoon next to it, or some coconut shavings or something to just kind of make the photo pop a little more, and just overall just give the photo more emotion and tell more of a story with your photo than just having a plain bowl. Now, like I said, I keep mine really simple. It works. I love it. People like it. If you're into food blogging a lot, then it's definitely something that can make your photos pop and just stand out a little bit more. If you are making a smoothie bowl and you plan on taking a picture and posting it, just think about the props that you can use to really highlight the smoothie bowl and really like capture exactly what you want to capture for that smoothie bowl, or whatever you want to talk about. Like if you're talking about healthy fats in a smoothie bowl, for example, put the coconut next to it, maybe put coconut oil next to it and put a teaspoon of coconut oil in it so you can talk about it. Maybe put some like crushed up nuts around it in a bowl or whatever it is. But then you can talk about healthy fats, and the photo really captured that. But yeah, having complementing objects in your photo, it's just gonna really give off the vibe that you want. Obviously, if you have a smoothie bowl, don't put a fork. If you have a smoothie bowl, like don't put a box of spaghetti there. Either do complementing objects or just don't do any object. And here's an example of like a balanced prop setup versus like a non-balanced. So you guys can see the difference, and like kind of like the awkwardness in this one over here versus like the proper eye-catching layout over here. And having it balanced like that is gonna be something that you get better at over time. It's not something that can really be taught. It's more just having an eye behind the camera, and then also creating the vibe that you want, because there's again no right or wrong with this. Having the balance there is just gonna make your photo a little more attractive and eye-catching. So just wanted to show you guys that example. So that wraps up the angles and layouts video. As always, if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you ASAP. The last video is all about taking selfies. So pictures of yourself, self-portraits that other people take. We're gonna be talking all about how to get the perfect picture, make your photo pop, make you glow, but not have to airbrush your face and put all those weird edits all over your face, because that's just super fake. So we don't wanna do that. We wanna use natural lighting, of course, to our advantage. So in video number 4, we are talking about selfies.